Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Great Black Speakers Podcast, where we connect through conversation. I am your host, Lawrence Watkins. I am the founder and CEO of Great Black Speakers Bureau. I'm also the president and chief operating officer of the Black Business School. And today we have a very special guest. We have my good Kentucky brother here today, Mr. Lamar Wilson. Lamar is the founder of Sunjoined and Boycott the Silent, which is a group that is dedicated or is going to make companies pay that don't directly speak out against social injustice and Black racism. So Lamar, man, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day in Colombia. You know, uh,
Right, right.
every
But
day
yeah,
is a
man,
beautiful day.
I'm
But
doing
go ahead.
good, man. I'm doing really well, man. I thank you for having me on. I appreciate it because we got to get this word out and start building this base and making sure that we get as many people as possible who think like us to join in this movement. And actually, we don't call it a movement; we call it a lifestyle. So yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. And I was happy when you asked. I was happy to have you on our platform. So for those of I guess the audience who don't know much about you, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? You know who you are, what you do.
Yeah, my name is Lamar Wilson. I'm a lifetime hustler, entrepreneur. I build businesses. I'm a software developer by trade and finance guy by education. Right now, I have a company called Sunjoin that is creating a network of hemp farmers, distributors, and processors to basically control a vertical in the hemp industry. And then, of course, I also, which is why I'm here, I founded the group Boycott the Silent, which over the last 4.5 days has gained about 75,000 members that fast. So I know a lot of people are thinking like we're thinking, and we're just ecstatic to try to get this lifestyle going.
Now that's interesting. So, let's talk about Boycott the Silent a little bit in terms of just the origins of it, right? So I assume, it has something to do with, brother Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, many other black men and just people in general, black people in the United States who have been racially discriminated against in some form or fashion, whether it's police brutality, whether it's on the job, whether it's somebody trying to call the police on them in Central Park, all of those different types of things. So from your perspective, why did you decide to start this group?
Well, it was a combination of two of the big news things, right? All the discrimination that's going on in America and also COVID-19. I made a post on my wall and I said, there's one thing that COVID-19 taught all of us is that we could live, we could make it without these establishments. And I said, boycott the silent. And so basically the movement came from understanding that we were forced to not be able to go out and spend money at these establishments. And guess what? We made it, right? We made it on the other side. They're now opening up America. They're doing all those things. But what happens when you choose not to spend money at these establishments, and especially these establishments that have not spoken out against racism? And that's just the reason why we're using that criteria is because that's a really easy one for us to begin to separate the wheat from the tare, the goat from the sheep, right? All you have to do is look out. And if they're not being vocal and verbal about the plight that we deal with here in this country, then we're not going to spend our dollars with you. We're gonna ride with those that ride with us, right? So that's where the movement came from. I made that post, and it was just there on my wall. And then something said, you know what, man? Let's see if we can actually do what's in my mind about boycotting the silent, because as you know, Martin Luther King basically said that if you are silent, you basically complicit. So, and I'm just paraphrasing, no, it's not the exact quote, but that you get what I'm saying. So that's why it's like, let's boycott those that don't speak up. And that's the first step, right? So that's where it came from, man.
Well, let's talk about boycotting a little bit more then in regards to the effects of boycotting on a social movement. So, um, from your perspective, why do you think boycotting is the first step and I guess an effective step to, I guess, further the Black agenda in general, but then just, economics of the Black community?
Well, look, man, it's crazy because I hadn't really learned a lot about Dr. Claude Anderson, but I realized that he and I thought very similarly, and he's older than me, so he was the first one thinking like that. But it's like, I really believe that racism is an economic issue. right? I really believe that racism is more economics than it is social, from the standpoint of it's about power. Racism is about the ability to keep down people that look a different color than you because you have the economic power to do so. So boycotts take that power out of the hands of those that have the power and that do not want to help out, right? And we can divert those funds somewhere else. And when we divert those funds somewhere else, we have to be intentional about where we do divert them. So I feel like boycotts are an extremely powerful thing to do. But we also have to remember the Montgomery boycotts, they weren't just overnight, man. I think it was like 381 days. So these people boycotted for a very long time. And shout out to the cats with the Blackout Coalition. Shout out to y'all, man. Appreciate what y'all doing with the 7th. I know y'all gonna be doing some more stuff too. I'm supportive of everyone who is about trying to tear down this oppressive system at the roots. Because all we seeing with George Floyd, Miss Breonna Taylor, what we're seeing with my man Aubrey, I can't ever say his name, Arbery, what we're seeing with that is the fruit of this system. It's the fruit, it's not the root. And that's the thing. And the only way you're gonna be able to kill this tree, because think about it, we keep having protests and these things keep happening, but all we keep getting is more fruit. And that's because the tree still exists. This lifestyle is about us changing and redirecting these funds into other places, man. It's about taking over and taking power back from those that have oppressed us, period. And those that want to stand on the sideline and say nothing. That's what we're about in this movement, man, in this lifestyle.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that you're boycotting the silent as well, because far too long have I guess corporations and just capitalists been able to just stand on the sidelines and not say nothing, and hoping that their money flow isn't disrupted by whatever's going on in society, all under the excuse or the guise of I'm just a businessman or something like that, right?
Right.
And we've seen in politics, actually, the Republican Party has done this, quite a bit. Especially like the fringes, such as the Tea Party movement and others. What they start to do is actually attack mild allies a little bit, or people who are just neutral in the Republican Party, and get them to move. And what they would do is run, people against them in the primaries, and to the point where if you don't act, you're going to lose your seat. And I see a lot of parallel and similarities between that strategy and the strategy that you're taking with this boycott the silent movement. And my question then is, what is going to be your strategy, or what are you thinking in terms of the additional steps after the boycott happens? So after the boycott happens, Black people will be looking for other places to spend their money. Can you talk about that a little bit in terms of the next 3 steps that you have laid out on?
Brother. Yes. Because that's the most important. Number one, I want to say this: after the boycott, I don't know if that'll exist, right? We will continuously boycott those that don't spend their money with us, that don't speak out for us, that don't. You get what I'm saying? We're gonna continuously boycott. I don't think there will be an end to that boycott. Again, this is a lifestyle change, right? So it's just like recycling. I used that analogy yesterday. It's like recycling. I remember when I was a kid, there were no recycle bins in my kitchen. Now my wife got like bins for everything. I don't even know how to separate all the stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's a lifestyle change to get into that. So number one, we have to build the base, right? So I'll just give you the directives. Number one, we have to build the base. We have to get as many people as possible. And what I love about what we're doing with this movement is that we're not just saying this race of people or that race of people, this gender, this sexuality of people. That the group that we're building is so vast and so diverse, because guess what? We need allies. I've never seen anybody win a war without allies. So we're like, build the base. And what we're telling people to do is invite everybody you know and let them decide if they with us or not, right? Invite every single person, and those that don't show up, okay, cool. But invite everybody, give everybody an opportunity to understand that we are trying to attack the base of this system, this oppressive capitalist system that we live in right now, right? Because the capitalism in America is not the real capitalism. Capitalism in America is a bastard child of the real capitalism. So that's the first thing, is build the base. Number two is to boycott the silent. We already spoke about that. It's basically finding those companies that we're going to boycott and never spend money with them again, right? Period. Like you could come out and try to say something after we gone, but we already gone, right? To the left on some Beyonce. Number 3, though, is buy from allies. Now, a lot of people wonder why we say buy from allies, and that's because right now, and as the Black community, we don't have a lot of infrastructure set up to substitute everything that we buy from everyone, right? The things that we need are necessities. We don't have complete infrastructure. There's still stuff that has to be built out. There's still money that has to be invested in certain places. But until then, we'll reward those that speak out positively for us, right? Those people who are willing to put their neck out on the line and understand our plight enough to speak up against it. Shout out to Ben & Jerry's, man. They always been down, so shout out to them, right? And then the 4th thing is to build and support businesses that begin to pay back into what we're doing financially, right? Because that's what's really going to show it, because we have to begin to circulate those dollars back into us, right? We got to start circulating those dollars back into our companies, back into our banks, back into our investment funds, back into our land banks, right? We have to begin to take those dollars and put them back into what we're doing. So these are the 4 directives: build the base, boycott the silent, buy from allies, and then redirect those funds into a cyclical economy. Those are the 4 things, and that's moving forward from this point forward, man. I mean, like I said, we got about 75,000 people in less than 4.5 days. So the base is getting built, but we need to be a lot larger, right? We need to get up there in the range to where when we all make a move, it really affects and they can feel it. And they need to know that we're not going to stand for it any longer, period.
Got you. Yeah, man. Actually, I'm here with Lamar Tyler, or son of Lamar Tyler, excuse me. I got too many Lamars in my life. Lamar Wilson. Lamar is the founder of Sunjoined and Boycott the Silent, a group that is going to make companies pay that don't directly speak out against social injustice and Black racism. If you guys are feeling what Lamar has to say, please go ahead and press the thumbs up button. Make sure that you like this video, and please make sure that you subscribe to the Black Financial channel. That's also been growing like wildfire. I think we've had probably about 20,000 new subscribers in the last few weeks, and we really appreciate that. We appreciate your support on that particular front as well. Lamar, before we get into the rest of the interview, I want to just get straight to it. How can people join this group?
Yeah, so all you need to do is go to facebook.com and look up Boycott the Silent. You'll find our group. Like I said, it's about 75,000 people. We have a really cool logo that's basically the silent emoji with boycott on it, so you'll recognize who we are. Go and look up Boycott the Silent. It has grown so fast, and like I said, you saw where it was organically came from an idea, that we're moving as fast as we can to build tools to make sure we aggregate a lot of the data that we're finding in the group, and to make sure that the people in the group have a place and an easier place to get access to that data, right? So we'll be building tools. I'm a software developer by trade, so I definitely will be using those skills to try to build things for the community.
Got you. Yeah, and I want to, get into your background a little bit and just the things you've learned, from just the different things that you've done. But before I do that, I want to go back to this Ben & Jerry's conversation, and then just Facebook, Google, the tech industry, and these platforms, and your thoughts on them as well. So Ben & Jerry's made a very powerful statement about, racial injustice in America. On their Twitter, and it got a lot of positive support, and it showed that Ben & Jerry's is an ally, but at the same time, Ben & Jerry's is owned 100% by Unilever, right? So Unilever owns it, and I haven't seen Dove soap come out that strongly. That's also owned by Unilever. So can you talk about that a little bit? And maybe this is getting too technical in terms of how do you deal with that type of thing? Will you just be like, all right, Unilever's silent, but Ben & Jerry's is not, but they're still owned by Unilever. Have you thought about that at all in terms of like all of these entities and how they, that they've been owned?
Definitely thought about that. Because here's the thing. When we say buy from allies, the thing about that is that once we figure out what they are, we got to go deeper, right? But the first step is to separate, and then we'll go in and go deeper into those companies that we are supporting, and we'll hold them accountable. See, that's the biggest part about it, right? Like, you can't just get our dollars and expect us to always give you our dollars. At some point, we're going to look into you very closely as well. Where are you doing your diversity spend, right? Are you spending 1%? You think that's a goal with diverse suppliers, right? Those kind of things. Are you hiring Black executives? So we're going to definitely look at those allies, but it's real easy. The thing is that at the very beginning, we have to make it so, for lack of a better term, black and white, that it makes it easy for us to actually achieve something. Right? If we try to go in and do all the research now, we would think about it. We'll be going down the path for a very long time without actually doing something. So we want to make it easy right now, because you have to make the boycott easy at the beginning to make sure everyone is adhering to it, and that we have actual metrics that we can look at to say, are we making an impact or not? And if not, what do we need to do to make that impact? After that, though, once we get to the phase, the number 2 phase, number 3 phase actually, which is buy from allies, at that point, we have to start looking at those allies. We're going to look at them, because guess what? If we are putting a lot of money and a lot of our resources toward one ally and they are not doing right, what happens when we pull from them? They're going to feel that effect as well. Right? If we allow them to have a great quarter, their second quarter look good, and then their third quarter at the beginning, they start doing some things that are not beneficial to the Black community, we're going to vote with our dollars. I know we talk about voting all the time, but now it's time for us to vote with our dollars and put our resources where they are best used and best allocated, man. So, yeah, the Unilever thing, I mean, here's the thing. You're going to keep running into conglomerates, right? You're going to keep on running into, this is how America is built. So it's like, at some point, we'll get to that point where we'll say, you know what? You're owned by Unilever. Hey, Unilever, when you going to speak up? Dove Soap, when you going to speak up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely do know.
But here's what's so funny. One thing I did notice, though, Viacom, it seems like all their channels spoke up. Nickelodeon, everybody was speaking up, right? So it's like,
yeah, no, that's true. And I was trying to think, who has that lawsuit with Byron Allen? That's not Viacom. Is that Viacom or
that's Comcast, wasn't it?
Comcast? That's right. So Viacom's channel is stuck up, or has spoken up.
Yeah, I saw a whole bunch of. I was like, man, all these Viacom channels is popping up. So, but yeah, man, I mean, that's the thing. We don't want to make it too convoluted. We want people to be able to look, because the easiest thing to notice is silence, right? It's easy to say, did Walmart say anything? Just go to their Twitter. Nothing. And that's what I want to tell everyone. We are boycotting Walmart and Sam's Club right now actively. And somebody actually came in the group and gave a great idea, right? They came in the group and they said, what if everything you bought in the last 14 days, you took back and got your money back? Right? That's a huge impact. Imagine having lines at all the Walmarts in the country of people taking their stuff back, and they saying, why are you doing that? It's because you don't support us. Man, that's powerful, right? These are the kind of things you can do once you build the base and mobilize and organize, right?
And I want to talk about organization and mobilization as well, right? So this group is, housed on Facebook and has grown to 73,000 people in the last 4 days, which is amazing, right? In terms of just group growth, and it's amazing. And the reason that's happened is, the algorithm has said there's a lot of engagement with this particular group, and they put more juice around that. And then you're also virally sharing with other people, you're having your group members share with other people, that type of thing. And yet, if you think about racial injustice, Facebook is one of those companies that hasn't said anything about it, right? And I had a struggle with that too, because I was going to start a Facebook group for my Black Power Institute that is launching here shortly. And what we're doing with that is helping to organize Black ideas and to mobilize resources around them. Similar to what you're doing. Mine's more of a think tank, pure think tank type of research play. But at the same time, I decided not to have it on Facebook because what Facebook is standing for in terms of how they can control reach, especially in these political times. And that's the reason why. But as a result, group growth has been a lot slower than I would like. Because that's just, we're not there with 6 billion or 2 billion people or whatever Facebook's up to now. So I just
Right.
want to know from your perspective, how are you managing that in terms of your philosophy and your thought process, where you have this company who hasn't said anything and might be one of those companies that you will boycott, and yet is such a, I guess, powerful driver of the expansion of your movement and your mission.
Right. So the way I look at that is this, right? We have to use the highways that are built. And I say that because, you from Louisville, I'm from Lexington. To get from Lexington to Louisville, you got to use 64. Now, let's say 64 is crowded and has a whole bunch of potholes on it, right? But you can still get there in half an hour faster than you can get there on the back roads. Then you might not like it. You might hate the highway, but it is what you have right now until you're able to have the resources to build your own highway. And that's the one thing that I keep trying to explain. Yeah, we definitely would love to build our own Facebooks and our own Instagrams, but people got to support. Like, that stuff takes money. It takes servers. It takes, even if you did it in cloud servers, now you got to say, oh, is Google good? Is Amazon good? Right? So if you don't want to go to the cloud service, now you got to get data centers. Data centers take money. Like, all of this stuff takes resources to actually build and maintain. You can't just build a group and think that it's going to handle all the load of millions of Black people by just building it, right? You have to utilize what you have. And so what I say is, let's continue to use Facebook until we get to a point that we don't have to use Facebook, right? And there's a bunch of different groups. I know you guys got Black Enough. You and Boyce got Black Enough. Miss Tavona got new.network. She got the new network. So there's a lot of these social media websites popping up. And I'm a member. I think I'm a member of both of you guys' site. But I mean, there's just not, like you said, there's just not a lot of traffic there because Facebook has become a utility. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to those sites right now is equivalent to going off the grid with electricity. Yeah, it can be done, but it's not that easy, right? Like, there's some infrastructure that has to be built. So for us, we're just pushing forward using Facebook because it allows us to build the base as fast as possible, right? And then we'll have the means to at least collect and aggregate all of that data so that we can keep moving forward from there. But I mean, right now we're using the highway that works. We're using the highway that gets us to Louisville. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. And I listen to you speak, and you're so knowledgeable about a lot of different subjects, and how you creatively think about solutions and strategically think about them as well. And I want to know, I guess the honest, I want them to know a little bit about your background in terms of how you got to this place in your life, right?
Right.
In regards to just the learning lessons that you have, I guess, gained from, let's see, you raised VC money from a top VC firm in Silicon Valley. You've been heavy in the crypto space. Right now, you are going full in on vertical integration of the cannabis, I guess, the cannabis industry, right? So just talk about, I guess, your business experience and what has that taught you to lead you to what you're building today?
Man, everything that I'm doing, I always say my life is like Slumdog Millionaire. It's like the culmination of everything that I've done in life. It always still centers around one very simple thing, is that I live by light and freedom, man. Those three things. So if you look at cryptocurrency and look at me being an entrepreneur, that's all about freedom in me. Like, I'm all about freedom. I'm talking about owning your own stuff, being your own boss, creating your own paths, right? That's the freedom part of me. And me being in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, it led me there because I'm a software developer by trade. I taught myself how to program. I taught myself all the stuff that needed to be necessary for Bitcoin. We had one of the first iOS Bitcoin wallets. And at one time, we were the only iOS wallet you could get in the entire world because Apple had banned wallets, right? So I have been in the spaces of freedom for a very long time. Bitcoin provided freedom because there was no centralized entity that could actually control my money, right? And if you fast forward, we use that technology and my ability to understand that technology to build other technology that we raised capital from VCs. But that money we raised from the VCs allowed us to build another company that was around supply chains, me being in supply for blockchain. And I actually pretty much wrote the book on it. That's why I was being flown to different places around the world to talk about using blockchain technology for open account assets, open account assets in the trade industry. That right there, I pretty much wrote the book on. That got me into the doors of getting with some of these large VCs. But here's the thing that I learned through everything that I've been through. I've raised money in all kinds of ways, man. I've raised money from SBA. I've raised money from grants. I've raised money. I mean, I'm probably the foremost person on raising money. I've raised money from VC, $2.5 million. We actually raised $2.6 million from VC. We were one of only, I think at the time, 40 Black men that were able to raise that type of VC capital. I was told that when we were at a group with people who raise money. So I've raised money all kinds of ways, but the one thing that I realized and recognized is, and I did crowdfunding too. We just raised $500,000 through WeFunder for SunJoin. One thing that I realized though is that the inequities in this country don't stop. Like, I've been able to do a lot of things in my life by the grace of God, by him just, having his hand on me. I've been able to do a lot of things, but it doesn't make me stop looking at those that have a harder time than me. You understand what I'm saying? It always makes me, and that goes to the love part of me, right? That goes to me loving my people, and loving my people too, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's like, when you think about it, that part is what really has driven me to this point, because one thing I did notice when I raised VC, we had some amazingly incredible VCs. The Drapers out in California, my man Rick Smith out in LA. Like, we had some crazy, amazing VCs. And then we also had VCs that sold us out, man. And this is real talk. And I'm not going to name their name. You know what I'm saying? We already dealt with that. But we had some VCs that literally sold us out. They started with the idea that I wasn't pedigree enough. Now, granted, I was the one that trained all of my developers. Nobody knew how to really develop blockchain at the time. I trained my own blockchain developers, and they some of the coldest in the world right now, right? I was the one that came up with the idea. I'm the one that pretty much wrote the book on it, but yet I didn't have the pedigree to run my own company. See, that's the game, right? As my man Dick Gregory says, that's the game they play. It's a game. It's all a game. And when you start realizing that game, and you start realizing that we are all set up in this country to always go to the castle to get funds. That's the way the world works. We always have to go back to the castle, right? We always have to go ask the castle for some funds to just get anything started. It's a game. It's a game, and they tell you it's by merit-based and all of these other things. But at the end of the day, is it really merit-based in this country? I know extremely talented, extremely smart people who have not been able to raise a dime, especially extremely talented, smart Black women. Black women they're the most successful entrepreneurs per capita in this country, and yet they raise the least amount of money. It's ridiculous to me. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not merit-based in this country. You can't say that, period, right? So all of these things culminate to me saying, you know what, how can we make this more fair? How can we get things more fair in this country? And the only way you can't change the system. You can't fix the system. The only way you can do it is to create new systems. You got to create a whole brand new system, an entirely different economy, an entirely different base of people, so that you can take over what you should be having in the first place. And that's really what it boils down to. So if you fast forward to that, we got into hemp because of this very simple thing. There is not a natural resource or a resource that African Americans, I'm not talking about Africans, our brothers and sisters on the continent, I'm talking about African Americans actually control in this country. And the idea with the hemp is a renewable natural resource that can create so many different verticals, right? That if we can control that natural resource and we can put it back into the hands of not just Black farmers, but in the hands of small, poor farmers, then all of a sudden we can control a natural resource to create all types of industry on top of. Because wealth is in the ground, man. Wealth is in land. Because in land, you get things that you grow and you get minerals. Those are the building blocks of everything that we have. So we need to have that land, and we need to make sure that we control that land from the bottom. And it goes back again to me learning about supply chains. We got to grow from the bottom and get all the way up to distribution. And that's what SunJoin is. So if you keep following that along, then you get to where we are right now with Boycott the Silent. All of this that we've done has been the culmination of me just thinking through everything that I've had to deal with, the hurdles, the obstacles, me me working as hard as I possibly could, teaching myself all of this stuff, and still running into things and hurdles that you shouldn't have to run into, especially from investors or people that work with you, right? So what happened was, it's like you get to, oh, guess what? We realize now is the time. We've proven to ourselves that we can live without these establishments, and we've proven in a big way. A lot of people, it's funny, a lot of my brothers, they talk about, man, I love COVID-19, the quarantine. It's like my wife started spending all my money. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Like my wife can't go spend the money, and man, we've been able to save. I done paid off credit
Yep.
cards. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we've seen that. And that also allowed them to show their wife, like, look, guess what would happen if we thought this way every day? And we able to put more of this money back, and then start to take that money into invest it into things that benefit not only us, but our community as a people, because as we rise as a people, what does it say? A high tide raises all ships. Then that's how it goes, man. And so if you look at it, it's literally, to me, it seems like a progressive timeline. To others, it seems like this kind of journey, right? Like I'm all over the place, all over here and there. But to me, it's still me being dead focused on love, light, and freedom, man. And that light part that I want everybody to understand, the reason why I'm always so vocal about it and always out trying to tell people is because if you had a light under the bushel, nobody would know nothing about it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to stand up and tell somebody about it. And that's why I looked at that post when I said, man, one thing that COVID-19 has been able to teach us is that we can live without these establishments. I looked at that post and I said, I need to shine that light. And it is proven that, guess what? There are a lot of people that have that same light in them, and they are attracted to that same thing, man. And now I think this is the time that we mobilize, not only to go and march against these singular incidents, but mobilize against this oppressive system, period. We begin the rebellion, right? We began the rebellion on May the 31st. This is a rebellion against this system. You either with us or you against us, period.
I love it, man. There's so much to unpack there, and I know you say you only need 20 minutes, but I got questions for Lamar Wilson today. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
No, man. I got some more questions for you. And by the way, guys, if you guys like this video, like what Lamar's spitting, please go ahead and press the thumbs up button, show us some love. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and share this interview with everyone in your network. And of course, most importantly, please make sure that you head over to Facebook and join Boycott the Silent. So look for his group on Facebook. Go ahead and join. This time they had about 70-something thousand people, but by the time you watch this interview, it's probably gonna be higher than that. So please make sure that you head over to Boycott the Silent on Facebook and join Lamar's group. Lamar, I want to talk to you a little bit about, not everyone's willing to burn the system to the ground or create their own new system. Some people want to integrate into the current system. All right. So, of course, your thought process aligns, very similar to Dr. Anderson's and, Boyce's as well. Dr. Watkins, excuse me, is my brother. I don't really call him Dr. Watkins, but that's who he is. It's very similar thought process, right? In terms of building new systems, building these new systems, right? So, what would you say to those individuals who think that not necessarily not build new systems, but we need to integrate in more with the current systems and start gaining power, through, let's say, like colorofchange.org or something like that, in regards to where they're trying to change the system in general? How do you think that Boycott the Silent interacts with those individuals in terms of like your bigger mission, your bigger plan? And I guess what would you say to those people as they're going about their own path of trying to make the world a better place for Black people as well?
Listen, do you know what you just said? That very last thing you just said. They're going about their path, trying to make the world a better place for Black people. That's all that matters to me, man. Like, everybody's going to have a different train of thought, and I don't oppose anyone whose goal is the same, right? I don't think that I'm the kind of person, I try my hardest not to should on nobody. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to should on nobody. I'm not trying to should you to death, and I don't want you to should me to death. I don't want you to should on me, right? You do whatever's in your heart to do, right? And you shine your light, and those that are attracted to that light will come, and you will find your tribe, and you will be able to, as long as our goals are the same. If we're trying to benefit those that are Black, just like us, because here's what we understand in this country, Black in other countries ain't even black, right? In Africa, you're not black. Like there's no such, it's not, everybody there is the same, so there's no differentiation. Race here is like the what is it? It's like apple pie. You know what I'm saying? It's like something that was created here that we hold to such a high esteem, but everywhere else, black's not that big of a deal. But here, because it is a big of a deal, then you have to focus on that issue. You got to show that there are some inequalities. And like I told my daughter the other day, it's not about being not having equality, it's about not having equity. And that's all we asking for. Like if you're trying to change the system and not asking for equity in this country, then you not, to me, you're not doing anything, right? Because the system, you don't have, there's not enough people. There's only 13% of us look like us, right? And then people say, well, Lamar, we should vote for these certain candidates. And for me, I'm gonna just be real with y'all. I'm not down with Republicans nor Democrats, period. I watch every single candidate based on what they're saying and what they've done in the past, and I don't just vote party line at all. But to be honest, I don't know how many Republicans I can't even count no Republicans I voted for, just to be completely honest, right? But I try to look at them, I try to look at every candidate directly, because here's the thing, sometimes we get fooled. Some of the worst legislation against Black people have been by Democrats. For real. The super predator laws in the 90s, those were Democrats doing that. See what I'm saying? So then it goes back to, okay, if you don't have the actual numbers, then you have to figure out a whole different way. And the thing is another OG, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, right? He always talks about building parallel systems, right? He always talked about building a nation within a nation. I mean, if you go back and look at all of these older guys, and like I said, I just got hip to Claude Anderson when I started the crypto group. You know what I mean? Because I've always thought like this, and then to see an older gentleman thinking like that means that idea is in the air. There's a certain frequency that is resonating with certain people, that's coming up in their spirit over and over again, right? And so to those people who are doing it in a different way, trying to go after political change, do it, right? If you're trying to go after, the only ones I wouldn't say go after is don't harm people. I don't care if they're white, black, green, don't be killing people. But property, I mean, hey, property, all of that stuff don't matter as much. Not for real. That stuff don't matter as much to me as people, period. Like for real, this dang on country was completely looted. I mean, half the revolutions and everything around the world that actually had change, there was a bunch of stuff getting destroyed. So here's what you got to understand. The people that conquered these places, the people that colonized these places, they taught us that's the only way that you can get power. I mean, literally, if you think about it, like everywhere around the world, you taught us that, hey, to actually get power, you got to go in, kill some people, rob some people, rape some people, steal from some people. You went to most of the people that colonized this world went to countries that were like, come on in, we'll show you how to do it. You understand what I'm saying? And those people had outstretched arms, like, come on in. And what happened? They chopped them off and took all the land, enslaved the people. We've seen this all the time, and this is just real. This ain't got nothing to do with being racist. This has something to do with pure reality. And the truth of that is because that's been taught, now all of a sudden when it's coming back on folk, you know what I'm saying? Now people are upset. I don't agree with you hurting nobody. Like, I don't agree with you killing, hitting, stealing nobody. I don't even agree with you stealing from nobody, right? Real talk. Like, let's be all the way real. I don't want you taking something from somebody. But if it's done, it's done. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you should do. I just know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to boycott the silent, and we're going to do it in a way that we ain't have to have no guns. This is a revolution with no guns, bro. Because it's a revolution of the mind. It's a revolution where nobody has to die. It's a revolution of the mind, and it's decentralized in a way, just like cryptocurrency, that if somebody gets knocked off, the movement keeps going. You can't stop it. It's decentralized in a way that, shoot, they might mess around and be like, man, y'all economic terrorists. If you think about it, right? It's decentralized in that way. Like, anybody anywhere can just boycott Walmart. Anybody anywhere can just say, I'm not going to shop with Walmart and I'm going to put my money into local Black businesses. Anybody anywhere can do that. Not a person has to die. And guess what will wind up happening? The system will start unraveling at its core, at its base, man. Period.
Love it, man. Love it. For those who just coming in, I'm here with Lamar Wilson. Lamar is the founder of Sunjoined and Boycott the Silent, a group that is going to make companies pay that don't directly speak out against social justice and Black racism. If you guys are feeling this video, please go ahead and press the thumbs up button. Please make sure you share this video with everyone who's in your community, your network, and tell them to go over to Facebook and join the Boycott the Silent group as well. Lamar, before
Yeah.
we get out of here, do you have any last words, last thoughts that you want to tell the audience?
Yeah, man. There's the thing. Live, love life. I say it every day. And the thing is, if you really love people like you say you do, and I'm talking to all of my Christians out there that are getting so angry about a Target getting burned down. Like, I'm not saying that you should go burn Target down, but if Target burns down and you more interested in Target burning down than you are the gentleman that died and is the reason the Target burned down, then you need to get your priorities straight. So live love first, man. And if you live love, you'll love your life, man. I love my life. I love being able to push this thing forward. Like I told somebody, I just turned 40, so I'm on the flip side now. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the flip side. It's like when you get to 40, you start thinking like, man, I'm already almost halfway through. You understand what I'm saying? I'm on the flip side, and I know whatever life I got here, man, I got to do what it is that's on my heart to do, and I'm gonna keep pushing forward, and I'm gonna keep loving people, and I'm gonna keep hugging people, and I'm gonna keep talking, and I'm gonna keep on shining my light, brother. So that's the only thing I got to say. And the last thing is, boycott the silent. Come to the group, join in the discussion, right? Tell us some ways that you feel like we can keep pushing this thing forward. I like to look at this thing like the rebellion, right? I'm a huge nerd, so I'm like, it's the rebellion versus the empire. Real talk. That's how I feel right now. I really believe that's what Star Wars is built on, right? If you think about it, it's like it's the rebellion versus the empire. Come join the rebellion. Come join it, right? They can't stop us all. They can't, but we can stop paying into them. And we're putting things together to make sure that if you are adversely affected by Walmart, we're gonna start working on some options for you. Like if you work at Walmart and we boycott them into a position where they gotta lay folk off, we're gonna work on some options for you. And we're gonna make sure that we try to figure out how to get you placed again, if you're displaced. So that's the thing, man. Like there's things that we're building. This is 4 days old, and we're already having these think tanks and these discussions about how we actually win this economic war. So look, the line in the sand has been drawn, and I'm not scared. That's all it boils down to. You can't be afraid. Love is the opposite of fear, and you can't be afraid, bro. So that's all I got to say, Lawrence, man. Hope I didn't hold you too long, Doc.
No, man. No, I always love talking to the inspirational brother Lamar Wilson. You guys make sure you go to the group on Facebook and join Boycott the Silent. In the last 4 days, the group has grown to a size of 74,000, 73,000 people, which is amazing, and I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. Also, before you get out of here, please make sure that you like this video and also subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this video with all your friends and family as well. I would also like to thank our corporate sponsor, which is the Black Business School, which I am the president and chief operating officer of. So at the Black Business School, we don't just teach you how to climb the corporate ladder, we teach you how to build your own as well. What we do is help African Americans to obtain a culturally relevant yet practical education in all things wealth building at an affordable price. People come to us for one of 3 reasons. They either want additional freedom in their life, what Lamar talks about. They want to leave a legacy behind to their children and their community, or they want just simple stability and retirement going into their retirement years as well. Most of our classes focus on entrepreneurship, real estate investing, and also stock market investing. And also, we are getting much deeper into the personal finance and personal wealth space, especially as it relates to estate planning as well. So please head over to theblackbusinessschool.com. That is theblackbusinessschool.com to learn more. So on behalf of brother Lamar Wilson, my name is Lawrence Watkins. You guys take care, be blessed, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Live, love life, y'all. Live, love life. Later, man.